Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Professor Casimiro of Instaboy Publications. I was again tasked by the publishing company to have a second phase of my seminar. The last webinar that I had, it talked about redefining leadership, which these are topics which you can use if ever that you are going to reopen your classes or have a resumption of classes come August 24, 2020. Now, the second phase, which it will talk about ensuring sustainability through educational planning and development, responsible management education. So, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the benefits of blended learning. Mind you, if you're going to have plans, if you're going to create plans these days, we should focus on how or what modalities of learning are we going to implement and execute. It should be one of the top priorities of your plans aside from the health and security. Now, let's focus more or let us dig ourselves more into benefits of blended learning. First, the benefits of blended learning corresponds with first it is cost efficient. When we say cost efficient, this talks about traveling, trainings, and safety. Actually, not all people thought about having blended learning as less expensive to their institution. There will be less travelings, both for students and parents, so as with the teachers. If we're going to implement the learning, there will be time that we are going to have face-to-face. There will be time that we are going to have online. With this, students will be more secured because there will be less face-to-face learning. If you're going to properly analyze this, there will be more safety for the students because we're going to practice online and we're going to practice the modality of having a blended learning. If you're going to read some comments in Facebook pages of DepEd Rappler and other journalistic pages in Facebook, there are lots of complaints that they do not want to have a modality of online learning. Where in fact, if we're going to practice this, we're just going to have spend a minimal amount for the consumption of internet. There will be more precautionary measures on safety because students will not be facing each other. So it is through online learning that they're going to learn some things through the activities that will be sent by the teachers or professors, through the lectures that they're going to provide. When we say online learning, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to use Zoom application. We can either choose on different applications which students can indulge or immerse themselves into easier. Like for example, I believe now that majority of the students can use Messenger. They can actually use now Facebook. I cannot 100% believe the fact that they don't have an access to the internet. Why do students these days can have unlimited access to Messenger, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram if they don't have any access in the first place? So, it doesn't necessarily mean that if it's online, you do have to use the video conferencing. Yes, it's part of it, but it depends on the teacher, on the strategies of the teacher, on how are they going to implement the classes. They can actually send tape videos. They're going to record the lectures that they're going to have. Then they're going to send it to students. If parents are afraid that there will be no interaction or their students or their children will not have any grade in recitation, I believe now that recitation is discouraged. I'm not saying that we're going to omit the whole part of grading system about recitation, but it is less priority in this type of pandemic. I hope that DepEd and CHED and all other agencies will be giving a briefing about this so parents would understand. In the last seminar that I had, it is through understanding or making them understand for us to have for them to be convinced on the modality of learning that we plan. Next, trainings. It will be less expensive for the institution to give teachers trainings like we used to have because we cannot have one large gathering containing all teachers in one room and train them. We can use actually Zoom for teachers. I cannot give an excuse that they don't have an internet access because teachers are earning already. So I guess we can use Zoom application or any application that can convene all teachers, and we can provide trainings there. Even in Facebook Live, we can provide trainings to teachers, and it will be it will be less expensive. So one benefit of this pandemic crisis through blended learning, one benefit of blended learning, it's not expensive, because there will be trainings for teachers, and traveling will be less because of the blended learning that we are utilizing. Next, safety. As I've mentioned a while ago, most people will be safe having this because we're going to have a less face-to-face basis. Next, time managed training. This is the next benefit of the blended learning. You can actually set trainings on your own. You can have your schedules on your own. Also, in the blended learning for students, we can set different schedules which they are available. This is a type of learning where schedule is very much flexible. So it is still for the safety of the students, and still learning will still take place. Next, accessibility of the content. It's easier for the teachers to provide the content of the learning, the text of the learning, or all the learning materials that we are going to provide, because whenever students have questions to the topics being discussed, it is just one click for the teacher to research it to Google, or to locate it in other websites where they can provide sufficient and factual information for the learning. Okay. Next is accessibility of the content. If you're going to compare classroom setup to online learning or blended learning, there were times in classroom wherein students have questions, or even teachers have questions, and it's not easy for them to locate the information that they need because it's face-to-face. They're going to rely on the present materials that they have, which is CIG, or curriculum instructional guide, the syllabus for the terms of the others, curriculum maps, so as the lesson plans, and the books that they are using. If the answer to the information or the question that the students have are not there, it's very impossible for the teacher to answer the question or to provide the information right there and then. But in an online setting or blended learning, it's easier for the teachers to provide the information needed because it's just one click away through internet. Okay. Next is increased user engagement easily. This is very much on a positive side for the students, because whenever they are doing something, they can actually go back to the lectures that you have sent or to the videos that you have sent, because they have an internet access, or they have an anytime access to the information that you have provided. Unlike in a classroom setup, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not discouraging classroom setup. I am just giving the advantages of the blended learning so that people can adopt and can accept this modality of learning. Next is get insightful reports about your learners. You can optimize the content by checking. Before, when I was teaching elementary, junior high school, senior high school, college, and graduate school, I was able to teach all levels. Whenever there were activities submitted to me, there were answers that I need to verify first. And the time that I have in the school is not enough for me to check it. That's why I'm bringing home all the activities, or partially bringing home other activities, because sometimes I cannot bring it all because it stuns already. So, in this part, whenever your students send you the activities, it is easy for you to check, because whenever there are answers that you cannot give the appropriate, whenever there are questions that you cannot give appropriate answers, it is easy for you to locate the answers in the internet. It may not be exact as what they have expected, but the nearest answer, I'm sure that you can find it in the internet. Next, we're done with the benefits of blended learning. Next, 5 easy steps for better learning and training programs. First is choose the suitable learning system platform. Many people are complaining with regard this blended learning because they are afraid of using online learning. But actually, you don't have to download the applications of Zoom or any other just to learn, you choose what is easier. You choose what suits to the students. As I've mentioned a while ago, Messenger is fine. Sending tape videos, sending lectures, slide shares coming from the internet, they can actually read it, and whenever they have questions, they will chat you and you can reply. Anyway, since chatting in Messenger is for free, so I guess there will be no problems conversing with each other. Next, communicate the blended learning objectives. Of course, we have to set objectives. If we were able to set objectives before, we should set objectives also in an online learning aligned to the competency needed of the learning procedures that we are proposing. Next is create a flexible blended learning strategy. If we were flexible when we were teachers in the classroom setup, we should be more flexible in this kind of learning so that students can adapt. We may say that we have standards so that students can reach, but remember that not all standards of the teachers fit to the needs of the students. So we have to break some parts of these standards and let our hands be reached by the students so they can learn. Students will not learn through your standards, but students will learn on how are you going to execute the learning to them. Next is include effective assessment in the program. This type of assessments is kind of different with the assessments that we give in the classroom. So devise assessments that are appropriate to the activities that you're giving, and design activities or assessments that are appropriate with the modality of learning that you are providing. Of course, like for example, you're going to teach PE and you usually give physical activities outside. I guess you have to locate or you have to look for a certain activity that fits to the topic that you are discussing so as with the subject that is assigned to you. Next is blended learning through there are different types of blended learning that we have to take into consideration kasi ngayon when people hear online classes, because Zoom is very much utilized these days, they think that it is Zoom that we're going to use or other applications. That's why they're afraid if they have low connection of the internet. So we have face-to-face, virtual, webinars, links, assessment, one-on-one coaching. Excuse me. Face-to-face is used in blended learning depending on the batches that you're going to create for your classes. Face-to-face is a combination of blended is a combination of face-to-face and online classes. So there will be times that there are batches that will be coming on your classrooms, on your school, and there will be times that they are going to immerse themselves in the internet or the online classroom. Okay? So virtual webinars, links, you can actually locate. This is the easiest part. Aside from the tape videos that I mentioned a while ago, you can actually look for links in Facebooks and Google and other websites. You just copy the link, send it to the messenger group that you have. One easiest way is create a group chat of your students. So whenever there are lectures, send it to your group chat, and they will just open the link. Whenever there are schedules given by you, they're going to study it, and you just set another day of schedule for the activity related to the link that you sent. It's not always that you have to show your face in the internet or in the online modality to have a discussion. In this kind of learning we are proposing, because there is a pandemic, we should utilize all types of learning. That's why we call it new normal. So send links. They should open the link. They study the link. Whenever they have questions, they raise it to the group chat. You answer as much as possible. If they cannot understand it through the chat you have provided, there is a voice clip function in the messenger. You utilize the voice clip. I believe they would understand without even showing your face. Next is assessment. I've mentioned a while ago, one-on-one coaching. Since there are lots of members in the group chat that they have provided, you just have to click the member that do not understand the lesson, chat with him or her, or have a voice clip, or ask them if you can have a video call with them and explain. You know what? There are lots of ways on how to dress a chicken. You just need to choose one. Okay? Do not make things complex. This is the attitude of the Filipinos, having complaints and complaints without even thinking, complaints and complaints without even analyzing and reading a thing. Okay? Think before you talk, think before you click, think before you post. Okay? So let's proceed to another. Okay, if we're going to make plans, of course we have to consider different variations of learning, different levels. First is the preschool, the elementary. I believe full online learning is not applicable to preschool and elementary, from preschool to grades 1 to 4. Why? They do not know how to immerse themselves in an online setup like Messenger. So, if we're afraid that they are going to have face-to-face as the only option available, no. That's why we need to ask for the guidance of the parents. It is necessary, even in the traditional setup before, for the parents to help the students. This is the best time for the parents to guide the students together with the teacher. Hindi i-blame ng parents ang sisi sa teacher na hindi maturuan because of this modality. There must be a meeting with the parent that this is the kind of setup that we're going to practice, that you are going to send the activity through the group chat of the parents you have created. It is the parents that should be in the group chat. And you're going to send lectures and activities. Explain it. How are they going to explain it to the students? Or send a tape video so the students can see that you are still the teacher. Then the students or the pupil for elementary will be having a help coming from their parents. So it is the parent who will be sending the output of the pupil to you. You will check, you will be providing your feedback, send it again to the parent, and presto. At first, it's really laborious. But whenever people will adopt this, it's easy. Wala namang madali po sa umpisa. We need to exert time and effort and dedication about this. Next is for grades 5 to 6 to junior high school to senior high school. Zoom may be utilized and other StreamYard, Live. But the most applicable for me is Messenger, Facebook Live, and Facebook. Why? This is the kind of application where students of junior high school or grade 5 to junior high school to senior high school uses nowadays or these days. So whenever you send links and whatever, lecture, slide share, it will be easier for them to understand. Next is for college and graduate school. I believe they will not have problems getting in touch with online modality because they are already an adult. So it is just an excuse that they tell that they cannot really indulge to it. How can they enter or immerse themselves in YouTube, watching videos, having video calls, having chat with their friends? You know what? I taught in college, so as with senior high school, so as with junior high school, even grade 8. Sasabihin nila they don't have enough money or the capacity to do it, but they are always in the unlimited access of the internet through the network that they have, which is Globe Smart or Sun Cellular. So they complain because they really don't want to study. It's not because they cannot afford. Next is there are different types of things that we have to consider, or these are the factors that we have to include in the plan that we have. Whenever you're going to have plans, you may of course still include the plans that you have before in the previous action plans or 5-year development plans you have. But these are the main factors I believe that you should include. The first is the face-to-face classes. How are you going to conduct it? Is it by batch? How many students are there? The blended learning, the online, strict and health safety measures, of course. This is one of the top priorities, or should I say number one priority that you should put in the plan. What is your strict health and safety measures? Are there medical personnel? present in your institution consists of doctors, nurses, and dentists? Are there committee on health coming from your science teachers and TLE teachers, so as with other knowledgeable? What about facilities? Facilities, instead of improving the other facilities that you have, why not invest it in the very fast internet connection so students can, access? There are different factors of facilities which we're going to spend budget. You just have to pull it out and put it into a certain factor that needs it more. Next is allocation of budget. I believe there are less expenses that the school will incur because we're going to use blended learning. So there will be less physical trainings for the teachers. So the budget there, you just put it into the kind of modality of learning that you're going to have. Outings, faculty development trainings, other facilities that will not be utilized now, put the budget into the salary of teachers, put the budget into the modality of learning that you're going to implement. These are the factors that we have to consider nowadays. Okay? Next is, okay, let's have another. Okay, one thing that you should also put into planning is the budget planning and HR planning. The teacher salary, they must be compensated even they are going to work from home. We should not take for granted the teachers because they are now considered as the frontliners come August 24, 2020. It doesn't mean that they are going to work at home, they should not be paid, or they should be paid less. Why? They are still exerting efforts. Why would we have to pay less? I believe also that the students would still be paying the whole tuition fee even we have changed the modality of learning. So we should not degrade or change the kind of salary structure that the teacher has. Next is facilities. I've mentioned it a while ago that we should put more budget on internet connections so as with the health kits and sanitation kits. These are the things that are very much important. We should invest in health kits, sanitation kits. There should always be ready a face mask whenever there are students who have accidentally destroyed the face mask, alcohol, hand sanitizer, soap. We should be providing soaps in the comfort rooms and any other. Even the teachers, we have to provide them with the health kit or the sanitation kit. It is always a two-way thing, teacher and the students. Okay. Next, learning materials. If health is on the top priority and the kind of learning is the second priority, third priority of course is the learning materials. We should adopt learning materials that corresponds to the needs of the students today and that is aligned with the competency needed of the kind of modality of learning that we have. Okay? It is hard to develop now the kind of learning material, but I believe there are experts in this kind of learning and they can actually help you. It's just a matter of restructuring the curriculum instructional guide that you have, changing some parts of the curriculum, and so as with the kind of teaching that we are providing. Even in the curriculum of senior high school, even without this pandemic, I noticed that there is something wrong with the senior high school curriculum because on the second semester of the grade 12 students, they're going to have their internship or practicum or OJT if you may call it. But still, they have a lot of subjects in this second semester. How can the students fulfill this OJT thing if there are lots of subjects that they have to take in the second semester? I guess DepEd has to revisit that curriculum. Okay? Learning materials, I've mentioned a while ago that we have to invest about it. Curriculum, strategies, implementation, trainings. Okay. Next. There are certain factors, specifically not only in the planning section in general that I've mentioned, but also in the planning that we have on specifically for pandemic. First is the health regulations. It should be aligned with the IATFs, so as with the rules of the DOH, so it will be very much in accordance to that. Next is security and protection of the stakeholders, teachers, administrators, parents, and students, ensuring clean environment. If we are protecting the students, teachers, administrators, and parents, also we should always disinfect the facilities. We may not get it from the people, but we may somehow get it through the facilities. There should be a constant sanitizing of the facilities or the school as a whole. Next, proper communication whenever there are announcements, whenever there are things or important notices that the parent should know, so as the student should know, provide it through proper communication. I do not advise divided Facebook page per department. Like for example, Facebook page for LM, Facebook page for junior, Facebook page for college and senior. I believe a unified Facebook page or one Facebook page per school, having all the parents subscribe, so as with the students, it will be easier for them whenever you have your announcement, to have it on one or have it posted on one Facebook page only. Next is whenever you have plans, be it on the resumption or opening of classes or ongoing classes already or other activities that you plan during the scenario, you should consult the parents. If you are afraid on how to consult the parents or face-to-face, there must be survey provided in the internet or in the messenger that they must answer. So at least you just get the quorum, and when you have it doesn't necessarily mean that if more than 50% and almost 100% of the parents had this has the same answer or has the same wants, it doesn't necessarily mean that you as an administrator or school as a whole should approve it immediately. If you think that it's not applicable or the school cannot afford it, you explain it first to the parents that maybe you can negotiate to them and have a better plan. Next is business continuity planning. This is very much important. This has been said by DepEd Secretary, so as with the SHED Commissioner, Sir Prospero, that of course there should be a business plan as well, so that you can still have budget to lend for salaries, improvements, and trainings. Okay? Next is off-campus mobility must be limited. As I've mentioned a while ago, all the outside things, the internship, the OJT, the benchmarking, it should be limited these days because it's not advisable as long as we haven't 100% flattened the curve. Next, the grading system, curriculum, and instruction. We have really to revisit and change, if necessary, the grading system that we have these days, because we cannot implement the grading system that we had before. Most especially, we should include performance tasks, but there should be revisions on until what scope this performance task will fall. Okay? Next is enrollment. I believe now teachers and schools are practicing online enrollment, and that's better. Okay? So these are the common plans that I am proposing. So whenever you are planning, whenever you're going to have plans for the school, these are the basics that you need to take into consideration. I cannot say of any plans that are in the largest scope, because all of us are in the experimentation process. What I did mention are just plans that are based with the recommendations coming from the experts who are actually experimenting still, even up to now. But maybe what I have just mentioned are mostly proven things that we can implement and execute come August 2020, August 24, 2020. So whenever you have questions, you can actually approach me. So my Facebook account is Kiv Ozia Hener Casimiro. Actually, if Instabright Publications will be posting the advertisement for this seminar you should just copy the name that is written there. That's my name. Search it in Facebook, message me in Messenger. I can entertain all your messages as long as I am not busy. I believe no one's busy now because this is pandemic. Or you can actually chat me or you can actually send messages in my email. It's orimisac27@gmail.com. ORIMISAC27@gmail.com. Okay? So you can easily ask questions. If you want to call me, you can actually call me, but text first before I answer that you are one of the subscribers in the seminar or webinar. 0915 497 0345. Let me repeat it. 0915 497 0345. Okay? Whenever you're going to subscribe on this, or whenever you want to indulge or immerse yourself on this webinar, subscribe first. Instabright Publication in YouTube, subscribe. Okay? Click the subscribe button. Okay? So I'm very much thankful for Instabright Publications for letting me talk. So whenever there are topics that you would want me to discuss, you just tell me. Leadership is my expertise, marketing, and English. Student development as well. So whenever there are topics that you would want me to touch on those areas that I have told you, HR is also my expertise. You just tell me. I'm willing to suggest it to Sir Alvin, and if Sir Alvin will give us the indulgence to do so, why not? Okay? Thank you very much. This is Professor Casimiro. Thank you very much.